What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch Community News Roundup today. Widowmaker specialist streamer Kephrii has been under some scrutiny, most notably from xQc. We'll go over that. It seems like everybody's got a different opinion on the Pharah changes. Quite a few notable Pharah players weigh in. And rounding it out, we got a really cool clip we're going to break down from Seagull. You're going to want to stick around to see that. First up, if you don't know, the Overwatch League is expanding. Multiple expansion teams are getting added for Season 2, and they all need players. Now, although there may one day be a player draft like there is in the NBA and NFL, for now, each team handles signing players of their own accord, separately, and it's expected at least by putting up good performances in the contender scene or even the Overwatch World Cup, that analysts and coaches will take a liking to your play and offer you a tryout. And this is where Kephrii comes in. He tweeted directly at the new Overwatch DC team, "Hey Overwatch DC, how can I be involved with this team? I am a DC local and would love the opportunity to try out. If I'm not what you're looking for, I understand. I'm just asking for a fair chance to prove my worth in a scrim/tryout." Now, of course, a lot of Kephrii fans are going to be jumping for joy to see one of their favorite streamers possibly get onto an Overwatch League team. However, players that have been grinding in the competitive scene, not focusing on building a streaming career playing ranked matchmaking, find this quite offensive, as many players feel, why do you have a right to try to step past in line, so to speak, to be able to get an opportunity that everybody else is grinding for in the proper channels? Well, this is what Kephrii had to say in response. "Contenders would be a huge financial step back from my successful streaming career. I have a wife, home, and bills to pay, and I can't simply go back in time and join. I play more than Widowmaker and will gladly prove that in a tryout if given the opportunity." He also clarifies as well, he has played in some Tier 3 competitions. Season 3 of Open Division just finished, and I've seen Kephrii play in a competitive setting, but obviously he spends way more time streaming and doesn't dedicate to grinding through the Open Division trials and the entire path to pro. Now, there's a lot that we can discuss about this, but first we're going to jump into xQc's response, who you may know as Overwatch streamer extraordinaire, but he came up, yes, through streaming, but grinding his way through the Tier 2 scene like everybody else. He put the time in to play competitively and also somehow streamed. He does it, I think, probably by barely sleeping every night or something. Here's xQc's response to all this.
I think, personally, it's kind of insulting a little bit. And I'll tell you why. I think it's pretty simple. I think it's reasonable also, because I thought about it. The thing is, right now, nobody's in tryouts. It's very hard to get tryouts, right? And he says, it's a step back from my successful streaming career. Yeah. Life is about trade-offs and sacrifices. Life is about taking some time off of something that you enjoy or whatever, for something bigger, to reach bigger goals or whatever. Do you think people in contenders have a plan B? They don't even have a plan A, dude. They have nothing, and they're still dedicated their entire life to this contender shit. And this guy comes out of nowhere with financial stability, with a stream, with a big structure behind it, everything perfect, and you ask for a shortcut? That's insulting to everyone that's grinding their asses off. Nobody has a plan A, plan B. This guy has a plan A and a plan B, and he wants to go past them.
So who do we think's in the right here? Is it a bit brash for Kephrii to think he can leapfrog and instantly get a tryout? Well, I think there's a lot of nuance here and a ton of things to consider. It's probably just a flat-out mistake for Overwatch League franchise to gamble on untested players. It's that simple. Because competing is a lot more than just clicking heads in ranked. There's all the team elements, discipline, grind, VOD review, coaching. There's everything else that you have to worry about. So it probably wouldn't be a good idea. But if he gets a scrim and does well, and DC decides to sign him on as a Widowmaker specialist, I think that's DC's decision to make. Being a personality might be something that a Overwatch League team favors more over actually being good at the competitive elements of the game. I think that's a mistake, but that same mistake was made all throughout the signing process of the first year of Overwatch League, where a lot of players were picked up because they were simply Western or seemed more marketable. There were some teams that thought they would get away with not having any Korean players, for example, and that was something that quickly changed during mid-season signings and will continue to change, because let's face it, when we talk about who's deserving, there's guys out there like the team of Runaway who didn't get picked up for Overwatch League and easily would have been one of the best teams we had, far above some of the full Western rosters that are getting a bit of a bias because of where they're from. So that's why I approach this with a bit of trepidation, because it's a bit the pot calling the kettle black with this. And I, for one, would love a league where it's just the best players, but that's not the world we live in, because teams build their rosters not just for being competitive, but by being marketable. And maybe they would like the narrative of having a DC local represent the DC team. That might sell a lot of jerseys, whether he's a good player or not. So in the end, I agree with xQc. You want to be a pro, put in the hard work and take those risks, but at the same time, life isn't fair. None of this is operating in a perfectly fair ecosystem. And that's just something we have to come to grips with. All right, enough on that story. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter. There's been a lot of discussion from streamers, pro players, on their reception of the new Pharah. The changes were, in short, to lower her reliance on splash damage and instead make her direct hits a bit more effective by being able to shoot faster. So in theory anyway, this should nerf Pharahs with worse aim, who need the splash damage to kill anything, and reward Pharahs with better aim, who are able to hit consecutive directs. But not everybody seems to agree where the state of Pharah is after the rework. Seagull ultimately weighed down that it's more of a nerf, although a bit of a buff to when she goes in. The Pharah specialist Valkia said on his stream that you can't really take advantage of the rate of fire because of how you have to time your shots anyway. This is what I call reading animations. So for him, it's just a net nerf. But there's players like Team Poland Flex DPS Danye, who says on Twitter that he can't believe some people think it's a nerf. And as well, longtime Pharah streamer Fareeha is on the other end of the spectrum of everybody else, also think it's a buff to her playstyle specifically, where you play her a bit more like Doomfist, where you get in, pounce, and then get out. So I'll be interested to see what everybody thinks in the comment section down below. Is it overall a buff or a nerf? As we've said on the channel a few times thus far, we think it's both. It's definitely a buff to the duelist playstyle that wants to go at their enemies, because being able to shoot a follow-up shot faster I do think matters. I know Valkia felt like he couldn't take advantage of the fire rate, but I think especially up against slower targets, it matters a lot more. So, your Brigidas, or even hit scans like Soldier and Kephrii or Ana, who move a lot slower, are more susceptible to that follow-up shot. So I could see where difficult mid-air shots maybe can't take use of it, but I think bombarding a target that's a bit slower on the ground is definitely a buff and will speed up her ability to do damage. So specifically up against Goats comp or Ryan Zari Brigida comps in general, I think Pharah looks objectively better, because although there will be a drop-off in your damage performance if you don't hit directs, there's a potential to simply just do more damage and have the timing to take advantage of burst kills, which, as we know, is the most important thing in the game. There's so much sustain right now that if you can't quickly burst something down, your damage is meaningless anyways, so the reliableness of the splash, I think, doesn't matter. So I suppose we sit somewhere in between both camps on this one. I do think it'll feel like a nerf for players that need to rely on the splash damage playing from really far distances. This is something that Seagull noted that that's basically Pharah's playstyle, especially at the higher levels of play, where she's played more or less like a flying sniper, sort of like Hanzo with a jetpack. But I think the playstyle is going to change a bit, because we've seen more tanky ground-based compositions get used a lot. I think the reworked Pharah is made specifically to give her more of a mobility advantage against that. Remember, your concussive blast comes back more frequently, so not only can you move around a lot better, you also have it to split the opposition more often. So yes, her ability to hang up in the sky, bombarding down from miles away, might kind of be going by the wayside. Her pouncing playstyle, I think, is definitely going to show through and be required as the metagame moves forward. What do you guys think about both the stories we've mentioned today? I promised you that we'll have a Seagull breakdown clip, so here's that. The best Symmetra play that I've ever seen.
They're coming blade.
Before I can shatter. Oh my god, clutch. He's going off, he's popping off, he's popping off. You guys shot it! Let's go, dude! Dude, you're doing it! I'm coming.
Can you guys get here?
You're doing it!
Yeah, I'm here. They're idiots!
I'm here.
Huge!
I'm ready to go.
Go, dude.
They're one.
Alright, dead.
Nice, good job.
Nice ball.
Oh, Symmetra feels good, man.
I absolutely love this clip because I low-key think Symmetra is a dark horse character that's going to evolve over time, sort of like Doomfist did. A lot of people thought of him as a niche, unplayable hero because he was just a bit too much work to get the value out of him. But Symmetra, once you start teleporting out of grabs, it starts to look pretty nutty. My favorite part of Seagull's Symmetra play is just how darn accurate he is with those projectiles, man. As a projectile player myself, I almost feel like going out there and grinding new sim to the annoyance of all of my teammates in ranked, but to some degree, I wonder if she's simply better than even Junkrat right now, if you play her well enough, because I think she does a little bit more than even he does. But his ultimate's better, so maybe not. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe because we do upload each and every day. So you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.